Alexa, turn on the bedroom lamp. Good morning. If it wasn't clear from the video so far, we are doing a day in the life. If you don't know who I am or why you should care about a day in my life, my name's Sam. I'm a romance author. I live in the UK. And here's the bit of news probably on this channel. I am a full-time writer. I've made a lot of content on this channel about balancing writing with a full-time job, about what my schedule looks like, how much time I actually spend writing. But at the end of May, I lost my job. And it was really upsetting at the time, but over the last 5 months, I've been really lucky in that I've had a book come out, I'm under contract for another book, and I've had quite a lot of freelance work come my way. And so I spoke with my partner and we decided that I was just gonna keep doing this until it stops working for us. And so far, it feels pretty sustainable. So I really wanted to do an updated day in the life, how I spend my time video, because I've worked really hard to craft a schedule that feels good to me. And I don't just mean feels productive to me. I feel like I'm achieving balance in my life. I was so burnt out at my job. It took me a good 2-3 months to feel recovered from that burnout. And it also insulates me a little bit from the deadline mode phenomenon that I've described on this channel before. I am 2.5 weeks away from the deadline for the first draft of what will be my 4th published book. That's a big deadline. And I am not deviating from the schedule that I've created because it insulates me a lot better from that fervor and that insanity that would happen during deadline mode previously. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I normally structure my day. First, I just want to give you a little bit of context about myself. First piece of context is I'm so sorry my voice sounds like this. I have had a horrible cold all weekend. It's now Monday and I've got to get back to work, but I had a weekend of doing literally nothing. I am married and live with my partner, which I feel is important to note because he takes on a lot of the domestic load. Like I said, I live in the UK. I do not have children. Also, an important context is that I don't drive, but because I live in the middle of nowhere and I don't drive, it means I'm not like going out to the shops. I'm not, going to meet up with people super frequently. Also, I'm not just a writer. I also at the moment am a writing student. I've been doing a writing course since September with Readsy. We're going to talk more about them later in this video because I want to make sure that you understand what that course is and how it's impacting my life and my routine, but it's been so impactful to my writing, I can tell you that. Balancing writing, freelancing, being a writing student, and also just like living my life, keeping my house tidy, hanging out with friends, eating, taking my dog out. Balancing all of that can feel tricky even when I don't have a day job. Like I'm not going to pretend like it's easy to balance those things all the time because it's not. And I think full-time employed Sam would have heard that and scoffed, but full-time employed Sam was not balancing things as well as she thought she was, especially during deadline mode. Roughly, I structure my day where I have set writing hours from 10 to 2 every day. Before my writing time, that is my warm-up time. So it's where I'm waking up my body, waking up my mind. In order to do that, I usually get up around like 7:30, 7:45. I've gotten up earlier today so that I have time to film this for you. I am not an early bird. I don't like waking up early. Obviously, I could sleep until 9:30 and get up and be ready for a 10 o'clock sprint. But all of those life admin things would be sort of at the front of my mind because I encounter them first thing in the morning. And it would eat into my writing sprints and my productivity during that time. So then I have my writing time from 10 to 2, and I typically do that on sprints with my writing group. We'll do that together later so you can see what that's like. After writing and before my sort of late afternoon evening starts, I've got 3 things I need to fit into that time. I've got Kirby, who is my lovely golden retriever, who is around here somewhere. You will see him inevitably during this vlog. He is a golden retriever, so he needs at least one big walk a day. At this time of year, beginning of November, the sun is setting so early that really needs to happen not long after my writing sprints are done. The other two things I need to fit in during that time are content creation and freelance work. So content creation, I have this YouTube channel. I also make videos for TikTok. And then of course, freelance work. I am really fortunate in that the freelance work that I've been able to get does pay well. For clarity, I kind of do two main types of freelancing. I do freelance copywriting and I do freelance consulting. And the consulting is on typically customer marketing. I say typically, it is always on customer marketing, both from a content and operations perspective. If that means nothing to you, that's fine. If it means something to you, there's a fun little tidbit. I always feel weird like sharing stuff like this because it gives me like imposter syndrome a little bit. But realistically, I spend about a day a week on freelance work and I will spread that across usually 3 days maybe. So today, for example, you'll see we'll probably end up doing about an hour and a half to 2 hours of freelance work. And then later this week, I will have another sort of 3 or 4 hours of freelance work to do. And that will be it for the week. So I'm very lucky in that sense. So we've got my warm-up hours, my writing hours, my content Kirby and freelance hours that make up kind of the rest of the workday. From the end of the workday on, if I don't have anything social planned, this is where we get into chill time. And I tend to break chill time apart into 3 different types of chill. I have what's called productive chill. So this is where I'll do something like reorganizing a cupboard or doing some gardening maintenance, or today I need to do some packing because I'm going to the US later this week. Then we have creative chill. So I've got some hobbies that I consider quite creative. To me, they feel like they use creative energy. I feel creative when I'm doing them. And then the last thing is true chill. So this is where I am truly just able to switch off my brain. That might be YouTube or TV, or I really like jigsaw puzzles. So I'll do a jigsaw puzzle and listen to a podcast or audiobook, or it's just sitting and scrolling on my phone. It's important to me that I get true chill in every single day and at least one of productive chill or creative chill, because I find that that's how I create the balance in my days and in my life that's so important to me not feeling burnt out. And then, of course, at the end of the day, I like to unwind. I read in bed, typically. This is a time where I try to not have any screens on the go because I find that it just helps me settle a little bit better for bedtime. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the day. So it's now about like 7:45, but now we need to move into the sort of warm up part of my day. So I like to warm up my mind and my body at the same time if possible. As part of my writing course, there is a daily video to watch. They tend to be about 10-15 minutes long. And so what I have found I like to do is I like to get on the rowing machine that I have in my lounge and just very gently row whilst I watch the video for the day. And I like to do this now, despite the fact that I'll do more to do with my course later after my writing. I like to do this now because I find that the lessons almost always give me something that I can carry into my writing sessions for the day, something to think about, something to put into practice. So I like opening my day with it. Other people in the course, I think, are watching them at other times of day, but for me, I find that that works. The rowing is not meant to be proper exercise. It is truly just waking up my body. So as you're watching me do it and you're thinking, oh my God, you're not going to get any exercise like that, I know that's not the point. And then we'll have breakfast and then I'll check in with you again so that we can start on the sort of life admin tasks for the day. So let's do that. Okay, now that my body and my brain are warmed up and I have been fed, it is time to move on to the life admin portion of my morning. I've got about 90 minutes until my first writing sprint starts, and I do have to be on time because I host these sprints. Again, I'll tell you a little bit more about how that works in a bit. I'll also tell you more about the writing course video that I watched today because it was a really good one. But for the next 90 minutes, I have quite a lot to get done. The first thing I definitely need to do, as you will have seen when I was making my breakfast, is clean the kitchen. I've been sick for a couple of days, and the kitchen is my chore. And also my partner is a gamer, and he has a tendency to hoard dishes in his room and then bring them all down all at once. And so you don't actually realize how bad the kitchen is until he does that, and suddenly all of your dishes need to be cleaned. So I need to do the kitchen. It might take a couple loads. I'm not gonna force myself to hand wash everything, but I need to make a dent in it because it's very bad. I could barely move around the kitchen this morning. I then also have some computer-based tasks that I need to do. I need to just see if I can check in for my flight later this week. Today's Monday. My flight's on Thursday. I wouldn't have thought that I could check in yet, but I got an email from BA, so I think maybe I need to insert my passport information or something. So I need to figure out what I need to do for that. And I also need to make sure that I have the right number of bags. I also need to start a return for something. I'm not going to actually drop off the return today. I'll do that tomorrow, but I need to figure out if it's something I need to have printed, in which case I will send it to my partner to print at his office, or if it's just something I can scan a QR code when I get to the post office. And then my last computer-based task is to check the status of my ballot. I have checked it already. I know it got to where it needed to go, but I'm obsessively checking it because I'm so worried about everything. It is election day in the US tomorrow, and I mailed in my ballot ages ago, but I'm just obsessively checking the status of it. Finally, if I have time, which I don't think I will after all of those things, and in fact, I'm cutting into my time by filming right now, but that's the nature of doing a day in the life. I need to plant some bulbs. I've never done bulbs before, and so I just got 2 packs of these hyacinths because I think they're beautiful and I liked the different colors. I'm told this is incredibly easy. I've already got the pot set out. I've already got the soil set out. I'm pretty sure all I need to do is dump the soil into the pot and then dibble these bulbs in. So in theory, it should only take me a few minutes, but I've never done it before. So there's a strong possibility I'm going to need to look a couple things up, make sure I'm putting it in the right way around, all of that. So yeah, let's start. Let's start with the kitchen. Okay, so I just finished all of my tasks. I had a slightly longer time trying to solve the plane task. It didn't want me to check in. It wanted me to give my passport information. But as I was doing so, I saw that it was saying I didn't have a seat for my outbound flight. And I paid for quite a premium seat, not like premium economy, but basically I am quite a nervous flyer, and I found that in order to alleviate that, I need extra leg room, and I need to be as far forward in the plane as possible, and I need a window seat. And I had paid for a window seat in the very first row of regular economy, and then when I went to go select that seat, because I'm like, this should have been my seat, neither of those seats were available. So I had to call them, and they've had to put me further back on the plane, which is really annoying because I paid for it, but they still put me in an extra legroom seat. I'm a really nervous flyer, and the bumpiness is what makes me really nervous, and sitting further forward in the plane helps with that. So anyway, I'm trying not to let that freak me out. It doesn't take much for me to start panicking about a flight, and I was already feeling really nervous leading up to this trip. I'm going to the US for my mom's 60th birthday, and also I'm doing a book signing at the Renaissance Festival there, which is very exciting. The exact Ren Fair that part of my book is set at, and the one I grew up going to. So I'm super excited for that. But we're not thinking about that right now. We're thinking about what comes next. I've got about 30 minutes until my writing sprints start. And it's probably a bit too ambitious, but I really want to try to get these bulbs planted because I don't want to have to deal with it tomorrow. So I'm going to try. Let's do it. Oh, we have a cute boy. Hi. To say hello. You want to say hello? This is Kirby. Hello, Kirby. You want to get up on that bed, and there's stuff on that bed. I don't really know what to do with. Good morning, Kirby. How are you this morning? You're so cute. Yes, you are. Mommy loves you. He's had a hard go of it this weekend because it's bonfire night tomorrow in the UK, but this weekend was all the fireworks, and he hates fireworks, don't you? He's an anxious boy. Anyway, so the bulbs were super easy, so I got those done. It's now about 9:45, so I'm gonna sit down. Well, I'm already sitting down. I'm gonna start my writing sprint soon. And so I thought I'd talk you through my writing goals for the day. When you think about the concept of writing full-time, being a full-time author, you might think of like sitting at your desk 9 to 5 the way you would for a day job. But realistically, I've found I don't have more than 4, maybe 5 hours of writing in me. And a lot of times those 4 or 5 hours are less productive individually than hours that I would have spent when I was working a day job. Sometimes I'm really productive. So my ideal writing pace, like if I'm very focused and I'm writing the whole time and I'm not scrolling, I'm usually able to crack 1,000 words an hour. But what I've found is that it's hard for me to have more than 2 or 3 of those focused hours in a day. And usually 2 is kind of my limit. A lot of days I will end up having multiple less productive hours. So I might have 4 hours that I am working on new words, but I'm doing 500 words in those hours. When I first started doing this, it was really easy to get discouraged by that and to be like, oh, I've only, I haven't written very much. But when I would tally up my word count, it would be the same as a productive day when I was working full time and only doing 1 or 2 sprints a day. And so it's really helped me with that balance that I was talking about, because I'm still producing at the same pace over time, which is fine because putting out a book a year is kind of a normal pace for an author, but it's not burning me out in the process, and I'm able to have a lot more balance in my life. Today, however, I'm not going to do new words for all 4 sprints. I am at the part of the story where that sort of big central conflict, which will be sort of the final conflict, is really starting to ramp up. And I did work at the beginning of this story to kind of plot that out from a plot, what's happening on the page perspective. And I also planned out my character arcs, so where I wanted my characters to be at the beginning and the end of the story. I've got 2 main characters. It is a romance. But what I found is that for my MMC, I'm feeling less in tune with his emotionality in terms of what's going to get him from point A to point B as part of this conflict. Like, I know the plot points that need to happen, but his interiority, like how emotionally he's getting from A to B, I'm less clear on. And I think part of that is because I haven't been seeding that emotional transformation throughout the story because I didn't have clarity on it. And this is what happens in a first draft. Like, you put something in towards the end that you realize should have been there all along, and it's in the edit that you're able to address that. My writing course video this morning was great. It was about the rule of 3 and how you want to use the rule of 3 in order to create impact, sort of like creating this crescendo. And so what I need to do is, 1, I need to get in touch with his interiority, what emotionally is going to take him from A to B. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to seed that earlier in the story. So the way that I'm going to get that clarity is, I've got this book. Let me grab it. So if you're not familiar with the Writers Helping Writers books, they're fantastic. I've got the Emotion Amplifier Thesaurus, the Conflict Thesaurus. There's 2 volumes of that. The Emotional Wound Thesaurus. There's all kinds of thesauruses. They have information about what are the things that create wounds. So misplaced trust and betrayals, for example, we've got a toxic relationship, a sibling's betrayal, being rejected by one's peers, getting dumped, infidelity, and then each one of these. So let's look at misplaced loyalty, for example. That's on page 210. This isn't the one that will apply, but I'm just using this as an example. So misplaced loyalty, it's giving you examples of that. So learning that one was a pawn for someone else, being used by a love interest to get to one's best friend, being thrown under the bus by a family member, having a family member choose someone else over oneself, having one's ideas or work stolen by a relative. So all kinds of betrayals there. It tells you the basic needs compromised by that wound, which will then in turn tell you what are the things in the story that someone is going to be seeking or be skeptical of, false beliefs that could be embraced, fears the character may have, possible responses, personality traits, triggers, and then opportunities to face or overcome the wound. Now, I have already identified the key emotional wounds for both of my characters, but what I need to do is just go back over the ones for my MMC and just better understand the sort of opportunities to face or overcome it, how that might manifest. So I'm going to spend a few minutes doing that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some free writing of his interiority. So as this central conflict is happening, what is his inner monologue doing? Then once I have that and I'm happy with it, I can go through and figure out, okay, these are the things that I need to communicate to the reader in order for them to get the picture. So I'm going to do all of that, and I would like to do all of that within the first 2.5 hours so that I can spend at least 1 full sprint, if not 2, doing new words within the text itself. I'm not going to set a word count goal for myself for the day. I rarely do that because it's more about the time investment for me, and I know that if I invest this much time, then I will pace accordingly. I might have to start thinking about word count goals soon just because I am really close to my deadline, but for now, I'm just going to do what I can during that time, especially because my priority today is working out that emotional journey. It's now 3 minutes to 10, which means I need to get on this writing sprint. So let's get started. Good morning. Yeah, Allison, what are you doing this hour? Was super productive. I feel like I've got a lot of clarity now on what needs to happen. Still need to do my free writing of his internal monologue. Now I've got about 10 minutes before I need to call everyone back from the sprint. I told you I'd tell you, actually, let's talk about this. I told you I'd tell you a little bit about how the writing sprints work. So I'm part of this group, this writing group that I just found on Facebook, and we do writing sprints throughout the day, and they're hosted by different people within the group. And basically you come on. So 10 o'clock was when I started my first sprint. At 10 o'clock, I went around, asked everyone on the sprint what they were going to be doing. At 5 past 10, or whenever we finished all going around, which I think was 6 past 10 this morning, we all turn our cameras and audio off. We go away. We do what we said we were going to do. And then I will call us all back at 10:55 and ask everyone how they got on with their tasks. So it's not critiquing each other. It's not actually showing each other what we're doing. It's just body doubling and accountability, and it makes a huge difference. I've been doing this writing group for over 2 years now, and I love it. It has completely changed the way that I write. It's made it a lot easier for me to maintain my writing habit. And especially signing up to host the sprints means that even on days where I might otherwise be so unmotivated that I skive off my writing, I don't. So yeah, now I've got 10 minutes before I need to call everyone back. So I'm going to get started on this free writing and do 10 minutes of free writing. Hi everyone, time to come back. I'm kind of in the middle of a thought, so I'm going to continue my free writing for a bit. Then what I need to do is go through and kind of highlight the parts that are going to need to come out in the narrative. So one thing that I'm finding really interesting about this exercise is how helpful this morning's writing course video is in thinking about this, because with the emotional wound stuff, you don't want to overdo it, right? You need to be subtle. You can show how this emotional wound is manifesting without being super explicit. But I think As far as it's contributing to the conflict, and especially this sort of third act conflict, I want to use that rule of 3 in order to really create impact. And so I can't remember what he said the name of it was. Let me look actually. And that's the beauty of having these recorded, is that I can actually just go back to, right, here we go. Okay, so it's called the contrasting 3, where the first 2 are the wrong answer and the third one is the correct one. And I want to kind of use that to create some impact. So the way my MMC is responding to this third act catalyst that is happening, which is an external thing, the first 2 responses to that are going to be wrong. They're going to be leaning into his emotional wound instead of overcoming it. And then it's going to be the third response that is positive. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's making a lot of sense to me. It's really clicking for me on the page. And I think it'll make sense once I write it out in the prose. So really excited that this morning's lesson has been so relevant. It's not always like I can almost always find a way to make it relevant to what I'm working on. But of course, sometimes, for example, I was well past the beginning when I started this course, and the very first part of the course was about beginnings. So like that was less relevant to what I was doing in the moment, but it'll be super relevant in 3 weeks' time when I'm working on editing. The point of this course is actually that you're meant to be writing throughout, you're meant to be drafting throughout, but because I have an external deadline, I'm not going to be doing that. But I'm excited because I can make sure that I've implemented all of these things when I do the edit. So I've done this now. It's about 11:45. So I've got about 10 minutes left until the end of the sprint. I'm going to go let my dog out and I'm going to put lunch on. It's going to take like 25 minutes in the oven. So I should get, like I wanted, 1.5 to 2 sprints of new words. Yeah, doing all right. I think we're all hanging out in that. Yeah. Okay, I've got about 5 minutes left of the sprint. As you saw, I've been very productive. So I'm just gonna call everyone back. This is my last sprint of the day. So I'll just get everyone's updates. And then what I want to do is show you a little bit more about the Readsy writing course that I'm doing, because about now is when I would go in and check in on the community, like towards the end of my writing time. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to share a little bit more about the course. So let's go have a look at that. And this part of the video is going to be sponsored by Readsy. They gave me access to the course for free in order to review it. And the link in the description is an affiliate link as well. So thank you, Readsy, for sponsoring, and let's go have a look at the course. So this is the How to Write a Novel course. It's taught by Tom Bromley, who is an author himself. He is also a very prolific ghostwriter, and he knows a lot about craft and about how to adapt craft to different styles. And I think that that's really evident in the way that he teaches this course. How to Write a Novel is, I think it's 101 days, which is just over 3 months. You can see here I started on the 2nd of September, and tomorrow is going to be day 65. So that's what I will watch then. And what I want to do is I just want to show you these lessons. So these are the things that I'm watching in the morning. And you can see there's 106 lessons in here. We started with the prep sessions, which you're supposed to do before the course starts. And so there's 5 of those and then 101 days of the course. And it's broken down into these different sort of topics per week. And then each week you've got 6 videos. You've got 5 videos with Tom. You've got an author panel video, which is where different authors are sort of responding to different prompts. So for this one, it was what was the starting point of your novel, for example. And then day 7 is always a rest day. And you'll see that that is continued in every single week. This is the lesson that I did today, the Rule of 3 lesson. If we click on that, you'll be able to see. So they've very cleverly have made it so I can't actually screen record the video, but you can still kind of hear the audio when I do that.
Either the 3 becomes 2.
There's also text, and it will also give you further reading for each topic. The videos are very bite-sized, so this one in particular is like 10 minutes. Some of them are a little bit longer. It does give you a writing challenge. So for example, for the Rule of 3 one, can you add in at least one use of 3, either in your use of description or dialogue? I didn't do that necessarily, but as you saw during my writing session, I was finding ways to incorporate that anyway. And it will give you as well the books that were used as examples in the lesson. I love how easy this has been to incorporate into my routine. Like you saw earlier, I do this right at the beginning of the day before I start my writing. And that's just because I want to be able to incorporate it into my writing, like you saw with the writing challenge there. This is the kind of thing that, because the lessons are so succinct, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, you could fit that in anywhere in your schedule. You could watch that on the train on the way to work. You could watch that while you're eating your lunch, while you're eating your dinner, while you're cooking your dinner. You can watch it anytime, anywhere. And I love how easy that is to fit in. Obviously, the writing is the most time-consuming part of this course. I am already a full-time writer, the whole premise of this video, and I already have an established writing practice, so it was very easy for me to find time to slot in the additional requirements of the course. For someone who doesn't have an established writing practice, that's obviously going to be the hardest part of fitting this in. But if you're interested in doing a course like this, something tells me you're already prepared to do that to some extent. The only other thing you need to fit in are the live sessions, and I'm going to be attending one tonight, so we'll see that together. I'm actually really excited. It's with an author who is from the same imprint as me, and Tom's gonna be interviewing her. Some weeks it is interviews with authors, some weeks it's live editing sessions where Tom will actually go through people's work that they've submitted and edit it live and comment on it live. That's so helpful as well to kind of see that in practice, especially because people are writing in so many different genres. And that brings me on to the other thing I wanted to talk about. These lessons are very craft focused. So let's take a look at the texture week, for example. I found this week to be one of my favorites and one that I think is going to be the most helpful when I go to start editing. And I will be going back through these lessons when I start editing. You can see here we've got action, thought, dialogue versus description, dialogue, description, and pace, mixing together. This is taking a look at these building blocks of your prose. Your dialogue, your description, your scene setting, your interiority, description of the action, and how everything gets combined together. The examples that are used, he does sample from a few different genres from time to time. They do tend towards literary fiction, but I think that's understandable when we're talking about craft. And I've never watched a lesson and thought to myself, I don't understand how I would apply that to my genre. Everything is so applicable. And I love having multiple practical examples every single time. When I was doing my MA course several years ago, we would read a lot of books that were being used as kind of examples of things, but we would read the whole book and use that as an example of multiple techniques. And that's great, but it's giving you a limited context. Whereas what Tom has done is he's gone through all of these books, and these are mostly current books as well. And he's pulled multiple examples of each technique and each piece of craft advice so that you can see it in action in a lot of different contexts. The one thing I won't be showing you right now is the community. There is a great community, but I realized that I couldn't actually open it to any particular page without giving away personal information of other writers in my cohort, so I'm not going to show you that. But just know that the community is there and it is pretty active. people post in there. One of my favorite things that happens there is every week Tom will pair up people who want critique partners. I'm not done with the course. You can see I've still got 5 weeks left here. Not even, like 4.5 weeks. I cannot believe how quickly that's come around. But I already know that I am going to be constantly going back to these as I'm finishing this draft. And I will have access to this because you keep access to the course material after the course is complete. So I will be able to come back to this not only as I'm editing the book that I'm writing now, but also as I start new books and I need to revisit some of this insight. If I had recordings of all of my MA classes that were ever applicable, like that would have been incredible. But because it's an in-person lesson, you don't really have that. So the fact that this knowledge is kind of available moving forward, I've already gone back to some of these lessons as I found that I need them, as I found that they're helpful, and I will definitely be doing that moving forward. I'll do a full review of the course once I'm done with it, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into what that part of my day looks like. I'm going to go into the community now. I'm going to answer the question of the day. I like responding to other people's questions as well. Like I said, there's a live session tonight. Every Monday is the live session. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but we've got a lot of my day to get to before then. So let's get back to it. Thank you again to Reedsy for giving me access to the course and for sponsoring this part of the video. And let me know in the comments if you've got any other questions about the course so that I can include them in my full review that I post once I'm done with the course. So we've now finished the writing portion of the day, and I'm sort of midway into the content portion of the day. So the rest of the working day, which is the next sort of like 3 to 4 hours, 4 hours really, until about 6 o'clock when I start getting hungry. That's when I do content, freelance, and take my dog out. In terms of content, I've just eaten a little bit into that with filming about the Reedsy course. So it's now about 2:30. I do also ideally need to film another YouTube video today. I am doing an update of my bookish gift guide, and I really need to get that filmed because I feel like now that we're in November, people are gonna want that kind of thing. Like if I wait too close to Christmas, people aren't gonna watch it because they're going to have seen too many of them. So it's the kind of one that I need planned out in a lot of detail, and I have done that. So I just need to review my plan quickly and then film it, and I'm hoping it will take no more than half an hour to film. So that should take us up till about 3:15, and then I'm gonna take my dog on a walk. Then when I come back, I'll do freelance work because I do have freelance stuff I need to do. I'm gonna go change and then we'll start filming. Wearing top number 3 of the day so we can go for a dog walk. Good job. Okay, walk is complete, which means for this afternoon portion of my day, we've done content, we've done Kirby. We now just need to do freelance. It is about 4:20, and I have 3 freelance things I need to do today. I need to put together a statement of work for a consulting client, and I need to write outlines for 2 blog articles. But they're based on interviews I've had with subject matter experts at companies. They're about cybersecurity. You okay? My dog is freaking out for some reason. What's wrong? Are there fireworks? Well, it's not the 5th. So there shouldn't be any. It's also only 4:20. There's not any fireworks. You calm down. He's like hiding under my leg. I do really struggle this time of year with being productive in these hours because it feels like evening and I want to just go into my various types of chill. But I have a lot to do. I was hoping to have a little bit more time, but our walk ran a little bit long just because we were having a nice time. So I actually, on the way back, started thinking about one of the outlines. So I think I'm going to start with the outlines because those are the big things. Statement of work is really quick. So I better get started. Let's start on some outlines. It is not even 4:30 on a Monday, not the 5th of November, not the weekend of the 5th of November, and yet there are fireworks right now. That is why my dog is freaking out. Mommy's freaked out too. I don't like them either. Okay, we have finished freelance work, which means it is time for a little bit of productive chill. I need a snack, so I'm gonna get a snack, but then I need to start packing for my trip to the US. I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna wear to the Renaissance Fair. I'm doing a book signing there, which is super exciting. But I don't know what to wear. I don't know if I should be like super professional because I'm gonna be doing a book signing, or if I should go full Ren Fair. I've never been to a Ren Fair or fantasy festival and not gone all out. So I think I'm going to have to find a happy medium. I also need to pick out a new audiobook because I finished Six of Crows yesterday. Somehow had never read that book before, and I've now finished it. I can't decide if I want to go straight into Crooked Kingdom or if I want to give it a rest. I think I might want to give it a rest, or I might listen to a podcast. I was listening to this show called The Magnus Archives, which is a horror podcast. I didn't listen to audiobooks for weeks because I was listening to that. There are 200 episodes and I listened to all of them in like 3 weeks. It consumed my life. I mean, they're very short. They're only like 15, 20 minutes each, but I listened to a lot of that. That ended a couple of years ago, and this year they have started the Magnus Protocol, which I think is like same world, unclear how or if it will cross over with the Magnus Archives at all. But I've listened to like 5 episodes of that and I'm enjoying it. Maybe I'll do that instead so that I don't have to find an audiobook to listen to. Let me go get a little snacky snack first and then I will start packing. So I've done a lot of my packing. I've basically done all the clothes, but I'm dealing with this. It's not even fireworks night. Fireworks night is tomorrow. It is a Monday night. Why is this happening? I genuinely don't understand. Okay, I have extricated myself from the dog, but I'm sure you could hear that. They are literally right next door, so it is still happening. It's been going on for like 3 hours. It's supposed to be time for true chill. And I don't feel very chill. So I'm just gonna sit and watch TV because I don't think that I have the headspace to do anything else. I really wanted to like listen to a podcast, do a jigsaw puzzle, but this is too much for me. So I'm just gonna numb my brain. I have asked my partner to bring home some food for me so I at least don't have to cook. And it's only like 45 minutes at this point until my live session starts anyway. Hopefully the fireworks will be done by then, but who the hell knows? So I'm going to start watching TV. I am also going to go ahead and start crocheting because having something to do with my hands I think will really help. But we'll see if Kirby will let me do that. I'm crocheting some stuffed dinosaurs for my nephews for while I'm in America. And tonight I would really like to get the head of one done so that over the next couple of days I can finish. So let's do it. Sweater. I've got Evie and Bush on the couch and Evie is wearing her ugly sweater.
Appreciate all of the things. Okay, good evening. I hope.
The book title, the British title, quite hilarious over there. That
also say about social media use, that to have your boundaries, your unbreakable rules about social media use as well.
I really enjoyed that session. I love hearing from all the different authors. I also love the live editing sessions, but I feel like each session's so different and each author has such a different experience and context. Even hearing from her, even though we share a publisher, her context and her approach is so different than mine. And so I get a lot of value out of that. So this evening was less chilled than I wanted it to be given the firework. So I think it's time for me to go to bed. I'm just going to quickly tidy up from my evening and then I'm going to read in bed for the rest of the day. I am currently reading Shark Heart, which is very interesting. So I'm going to read that until it's time to go to sleep. I hope you've been able to learn something from how I organize my time, how I'm thinking about balance, and maybe something I shared about my writing or about the course I'm taking helped inspire you. Be sure to hit subscribe. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.